This is your Chargers linebacker, Dan Hanley, and you're tuning in with Chargers Unleashed.
Welcome to another edition of Chargers Unleashed. Jake Hefner and Dan Wolkenstein here with you from the LAFB Network. If this is your first time tuning in the show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Dan Wolkenstein. Better late than never, as we are.
Late as usual, apparently, says Jose. Good Lord, we were 30 seconds late.
Well, late in the week of getting the podcast and Week 6 review out, of course. Late in a standpoint of what are you doing on a Saturday night talking to these two bums, and late, according to Jose, by just a couple minutes in terms of when this live show was supposed to start. But Dan Wolkenstein, Week 6 on the brink. Chargers travel to Miami. We are just about 12 hours from kickoff. Lots to get into. Lots of injury news, even coming here in the last 15 minutes before the show starting, that we're going to have to go over because the Chargers are going into the Miami Dolphins pretty much with the backups of the backup. You talk about shorthanded. We'll dig into everything that is going on as it relates to who will be playing, who is trending towards not playing, what that offensive line is going to look like, and ultimately still we're going to cover what the Chargers need to do offensively, defensively, special teams, X factors, you name it, and in their hopes of getting back to a 4-2 record. Dan Wolkenstein, how are you, sir? Good evening. Happy Saturday. And happy Saturday to everyone that's out there.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night to everyone out there. Yes, I am doing good. Folks in the chat are already talking about stuff. For folks who have not seen this Auburn and Georgia game, it is, I feel so bad for that Auburn team. Just wait till SportsCenter comes on. Good Lord. I'm good. I honestly, this game is so weird to me because it's kind of like who sucks less or who sucks more is going to lose this game. Their expectations are so low for both teams, it seems like, by both fan bases, where it's like, we don't have a running game. Our offense is trash. Our offense is stinkier trash. Our coaching staff doesn't make adjustments. Our coaching staff makes worse adjustments. So I feel like there's a lot of down bad Chargers fans right now. And this is kind of like, I'm kind of out of emotion right now. I'm kind of just last week was my show me week, and they showed everybody. This week, I tweeted about it earlier, but if we are being honest with ourselves, and we'll get to this, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom here. I'm just being honest here. And folks in the chat, you let me know, Jake, I'm curious what you think, but what is there that this Chargers team has shown us over these past few weeks that lead you to be confident that they will beat this team, an NFL team? What makes you confident? And the answer, in my opinion, the only answer can be the guy on the screen. To put on the cape and say, to hell with it, I'm still going to come out and do it. But even that, he's tried. So, Jake, I ask you, what makes you confident that this team will do anything different than they have these last couple weeks? Folks in the chat are talking about Coach Harbaugh. Coach Harbaugh was coaching the last 2 weeks. So how are you confident? How are you confident now, given what you just saw?
Dan, it's so strange to have games the way that we saw in New York. Again, everybody has a trap game. I'm not trying to, say that the Chargers are above that. It happens to every NFL franchise out there every single year. You saw it even, the week before, Cleveland against Green Bay. You see what happened with Buffalo going down against New England. It always happens to every franchise. But you always assume, and we saw this a year ago against the Cardinals, you always assume after a loss like that, where it comes to uncharacteristic mistakes, just not playing complementary football offensively, defensively, special teams wise, that you figure the following week you're going to be straight again. It's going to be disciplined lockdown football that we were accustomed to seeing from a Jim Harbaugh led team or a Jesse Minter defense. And you remove the injury to Amari and Hampton, removing the injuries from Mekhi Becton and Trey Pipkins that were suffered last week. It still was just more of the same. I mean, it felt even worse than the Giants game just because of the fact that the Chargers jumped out to an early 10-point lead and won.
So did Auburn, by the way.
And you can go back to the turnover after Quentin Johnston was hit that kind of swung that momentum, or you can go to the special teams roughing the kicker that swung the momentum, whatever you want to call it. And just it was a snowball effect from there. So now, as we're going to talk about on this show, the Chargers are going to be going into this game, early game, crossed the bay to Miami. And they're going to be going into it now with...
Oh, here we go. Buckle up, folks. Are you ready? Buckle up. Here it comes.
Without Trey Pipkins, most likely without Jamari Sawyer. You're still going to have your same left tackle, unfortunately, that you've had the last 2 weeks since the injury to Joe Alt. Bradley Bozeman is still at center. You're not going into this game with Amari and Hampton, so essentially it's going to be who's got the hotter hand of Hassan Haskins, Kamani Vidal, or now Naheem Miller-Hines. And
forgot locale real quick. I'd like to think we win this one pretty convincingly, but then a tackle combination of Austin Deculus and Bobby Hart doesn't really instill confidence.
It certainly doesn't. And then 15 minutes before we jump on this show, Dan, we get the news from Adam Schefter that Quentin Johnston, who had a questionable tag coming into this game, is leaning toward not playing. So your most productive receiver that you have had through the first 5 weeks is now out. So those that were asking, where is Trey Harris at? You may get your wish as it relates to this game. Dan, you asked about my confidence.
Honestly,
it still is in number 10. But how the hell he is going to do this?
Oh, it's in number 10, not at a 10.
Yes, it's in number 10. The game tomorrow is at 10. The confidence is in number 10.
And what is your confidence level?
It's not good, Bob.
It's not 10. It's
not good, Bob. I can trust everything as it relates to, you have to. We're still playing football. You have to overcome injuries. You have to scheme properly. I would hope after these last 2 weeks, there's been enough negative film around coaching decisions and things that need to be changed. And obviously, yes, players still have to go out and play and execute what have you. But at the same time, whatever you want to think about Miami's defense, they still got some talent on that defensive line that can for sure get to Justin Herbert with the offensive line that he has blocking in front of him. So how do you go into this game scheming for that, Dan? I better not see Justin Herbert be throwing this ball 40 plus times in this game. I better not see a lot of 5 to 7 step drops in this game.
Okay, wait. This is how it goes. Remember, we talked about the thing that absolutely should not happen is what we should expect, right? So what are the things that absolutely cannot happen in this game? Justin Herbert dropping back 40 times, 5-7 step drops. What else? Deep ball to Jalen Waddle. 80-yard touchdown.
I felt bad. I felt bad saying this because I had a couple friends who picked up Hassan Haskins in fantasy football, and I respectfully asked them, "Why did you do that?" I said, "Have you you do realize the offensive line that is blocking in front of them? It's not just serious go pick up the next running back on the Chargers roster." I said, "You might want to think twice about that one."
You might. You might. Jake, for folks who might have too short a memory, Athir, friend of the show, longtime caller, love you, my baby, by the way, called in after he was so confident about this Chargers team winning these past 2 weeks. Called in last week after the back-to-back losses and said, it is all my fault that this Chargers team has lost 2 straight. That I have cursed this Chargers team and that he will never call this Chargers hotline again for the rest of the year.
Thankfully, Dan, I'm here because Athir messaged me shortly after that episode dropped, and he said, Jake, I will come back for you, my friend.
Aw.
So appreciated that. Still wondering if Athir hates Dan and blames him for all the reasons of the Chargers' misfortunes over these last couple of weeks.
But this is where we're at, Jake. Athir in the chat, he's back. My confidence is 8. I have not seen anything less than a 10 from Athir.
Hey.
So what does that mean?
Hey, you know what? Athir is still the patriarch of positivity, even when it seems like the worst type of moments. So, whatever you need to do.
Just turned 40 on Monday. My memory's up and down nowadays, but who can forget the words of Athir?
Congratulations to the 40 Club, by the way. I hear you.
You made it.
And trust me when I say, when you do stuff, like I did earlier today, that your body does not like really get wired to.
Hypothetically.
Yes.
Hypothetically. Once you cross that 40 bridge, like you probably shouldn't consume alcohol before I don't know, 6 in the morning.
I've heard that.
I've heard that.
But I kind of feel like Barbosa in Pirates of the Caribbean, where he's like, hey, it's more just guidelines than actual rules.
Where's all the rum gone?
Yeah, exactly.
Where have we gone as a Chargers fan base that now we're clamoring for Zion Johnson to be re-signed, and we're upset about Quentin Johnston, the most productive wide receiver on this Chargers team, being out for a game? Oh, and by the way, our starting tackles are not there. Our top 3 tackles are not there. Our top 2 running backs are not there. What a world we're living in. We'll get to some voicemails here in a bit. I think we have 5 of them that we'll sprinkle through. Athir with a $5 donation. My bold prediction is the future has arrived. Oronde Gadsden, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bolts win 34-7. 34-7.
Damn.
Again, I am not hating Athir. Or for folks who are very optimistic, this is me just being tethered to reality here. What has this Chargers team shown you that leads you to believe that they can score 34 against anybody? The only thing you have is, I have the lure of Jim Harbaugh, the greatness of Justin Herbert, and hopium. I'm not saying it can't be done, but to expect it? If you want to call it a bold prediction, sure. Mr. Dark Chow Chow, love that name, by the way. Resign Zion, best option out of free agency in the draft. Don't look out, guys, but he's not playing poorly.
Look, statistically, and this has been on record and a note, that Zion Johnson, in terms of the production over the first 5 weeks, has been your best offensive lineman. Now, of course, that's taking into account that Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater are not there, so that would probably change if those things were, if those players were in. But hey, it's a contract year for Zion Johnson. We said it coming into this season, Dan, when we got the news that his 5th-year option was not picked up, that this essentially was the warning shot, and we knew it, especially when Jim Harbaugh and the rest of this coaching staff was going to give him an opportunity to start at center. They were going to give Zion Johnson every opportunity to earn a second contract. We'll see. We still got a lot of football left. I wouldn't put anything in pen right now because you got plenty more problems that you have to worry about. But we'll see what happens. Dan, we got some news that we didn't get a chance to cover earlier this week.
We did.
Everybody was clamoring for GM Joe Ortiz to go out and do something.
Wake
Obviously,
up!
Go out and sign 6 offensive linemen. Go out and do something. Good God, go out and sign a running back. Do something. He did do something. And according to reports, there's still some things that he's sniffing around and in the works for. But I believe it was on Wednesday, Joe Ortiz with the Chargers and the Baltimore Ravens did a player and pick swap, Alohi Gilman, and a 5th-round pick heading to Baltimore. And Dan, what did the Chargers get in return?
Adafe Owe, by the way.
Oof.
Coming off of 10 sacks last season.
10 sacks last season.
Looking for a fresh start. I think he told reporters that as soon as he didn't get an extension in the offseason, he knew this was going to be his last year in Baltimore. Hanan Derry in the chat, he was going to say the exact same thing. The one thing that he brings that this Chargers team really hasn't had since like the glimpses of a healthy Joey Bosa or maybe an Uchenna Nwosu, has your white, kinda. Like I'm trying to think who, maybe like a Merriman, kinda. Sean Phillips, I guess, a little. Like they haven't had a speed rusher, like a pure speed athletic freak. They've had power, they've had the balance, they've had the bull rush, they've had the technician, but just the guy who is speed. That's what they're getting.
And you're going to need this guy come tomorrow morning. Because when you look at the stats, it's ugly for everybody that's not Tuli Tuipulotu as it relates to the pass rush for the Chargers.
What was that stat that like the pass rush win rate for
Chris Rim put it up, I think, shortly after the acquisition of Owe, that Tuli was 11th in the league in pass rush win rate. And then you look at some of the other players on the Chargers, where they were at. Caleb Murphy, just to point one out, was 131st. The Chargers have been desperate for pass rush help since Khalil Mack went down opposite of Tuli.
131st.
131st. Like you're getting nothing from the opposite side of
Put
Tuli
that in perspective for a second. There are 32 teams in the NFL. Let's say each team has 2 starting edge rushers. That's 64.
Say 4 or 5 at max.
So let's say 64 would be every starter in the NFL. And then what number was he?
He was 131st. That's where he ranked in terms of pass rush win rate.
But literally, he was worse than all starters and then backups of those starters.
Yeah.
That's your second edge rusher right now because, again, of course, Khalil Mack is out. And that it has been so needed. And I know everybody's excited about Caleb Murphy in the preseason, but there is a difference. There's a reason why some of these dudes get paid.
If there's a reason to talk about optimism as it relates to this trade moving forward, you fast forward now because a week from now, Khalil Mack could return to this roster.
This is what gets me excited.
You then possibly have 3 edge rushers that could really do some damage. And when we're talking like that, we talk in the way that this was, a time where Tuli was essentially looked at as the 3rd edge rusher when you had Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, and you can move guys around in different pieces. And if you've watched some of the highlights on Owe and see what he's done in Baltimore since he's been in the NFL, you can use him in those certain situations. Yes, from a speed rusher standpoint, he's great, but he looks really good getting off of stunts. He even got to Justin Herbert on one specifically when the Ravens played the Chargers last season. Jesse Minter has this ability because we've seen it with certain players, especially whether they're just coming off the streets or they signed to the practice squad and they're elevated for a certain period of time. Jesse Minter has the ability to make reclamation projects work. We saw that happen last year with Christian Fulton. We saw that happen with a number of players that Joe Ortiz brought in on 1 year
laundry
deals.
list. Everyone from Tennessee.
So this has short-term and long-term impacts here because not only could you now have 3 good speed rushers between Mack, Tuli, and Owe, But Dan, fast forward now to 2026, when you already knew that whether this was going to be Khalil Mack's last year with the Chargers or not, you knew most likely you were going to need some edge help. Who was going to be the future with Tuli across from him? So should this pan out well for Owe over these final 12 weeks of the season, you sign him to an extension. You could possibly sign him to an extension if all goes well, if all goes productive. And that doesn't necessarily take away the need for an edge rusher in free agency or the draft, but I would say it would definitely take away the priority for it maybe not being the top thing that you need going into the offseason. So a lot of moving pieces with this trade.
100%. So let's get into it. We're going to sprinkle in the voicemails as we get through this preview of the Week 6 matchup between the Dolphins and the Chargers. Chargers offense versus the Dolphins defense and vice versa. We'll talk about special teams, bowl predictions, game predictions, questions in the chat, all that jazz. The folks asking about Denzel Perryman. Yes, I believe Denzel Perryman is looking to play this week.
2 full practices over the last Thursday and Friday, so that was very encouraging.
But Jake, I think we're old now. We're a little tired. We need our sleep. Let's talk about our friends over at Sleeper before we get into this Week 6 matchup.
I definitely need sleep after last night and this morning.
After not drinking early.
Blurring together. The NFL season is here, which means you now have a chance to win up to 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football with Sleeper. Football has never been more exciting than it is right now with players like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Jefferson. Pick on these stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to 1,000 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right and you can win big. Just use the promo code ChargersLAFB and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operating in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today.
Daywalker says Dolphins are about to grape the Chargers tomorrow. I'm taking that many different ways. I'll just leave it there. We need that hammer back for Denzel Perryman. Yeah, I agree. They have needed that. JT $. I think we win this game tomorrow, minus the fact that we play a mistake-free ball and the defense holds the line. Minus the fact.
Yes.
Look, that people that were talking about Jim Harbaugh as like the reason that they're confident. That's what has been so weird these past couple weeks is it has been a sloppy performance by this Chargers team. Talking like racking up penalties, back-breaking mistakes, not taking care of the football, losing the turnover margin, time of possession going the other. Like there's just so much that you're like, what is this team? So yes, if they play mistake-free football, they should win. But given these past 2 weeks, Jake, like that if is like all caps, very big font.
Definitely.
Let's see. Michael says play Pro D and Super Herbo. Yeah. Should the Chargers have traded for Cam Robinson when he was still available? I mean, hindsight's 2020. I don't know. Sure.
They were in on this earlier in the time frame in which he got actually traded. And then obviously something didn't end up panning out for that at that particular point in time. And then, of course, when the Chargers really needed a tackle after the injuries happened, it was literally the very next day after Joe Alt goes down, Cam Robinson gets traded.
Like clockwork.
Like Bobby Hart is in the starting lineup for the Chargers tomorrow. That's how bad it is. We've had this discussion plenty of times. There is no team that is going to be sending premier offensive linemen elsewhere because they know how valuable a commodity they are. Mm-hmm. It's just not going to happen at this point of the year. So we can sit here and we can bitch, moan, and complain about things that should have happened, could have happened, would have happened months ago. Or we try to move forward.
Chargers offense versus the Dolphins defense. We'll talk about that side first. Jake, let's sprinkle in some of these voicemails. Again, you can call into the hotline anytime. Chargers Unleashed hotline has been going crazy these past few weeks. Hopefully we can get it going crazy after a dub. 323-902-7586 is the number to voicemail. Try to keep it to 30 seconds so we can get as many voicemails as we can. Love interacting with you, Jake. Let's get to the first one before going over the Chargers offense versus the Dolphins defense.
Yo, what's up, Dan and Jake? I know the vibes are bad right now. We're losing. Sucks. But, we'll get there. We'll get it together. I just want to let y'all know that there is actually a race of alien women coming down and abducting everybody that still believes in the Chargers. And obviously you guys.
Oh, man.
Well done. Let's let this thing roll.
If I haven't said it in a while, I love the Chargers Unleashed hotline, and I love interacting with every one of you. It's what makes this so enjoyable. Thank you.
It's what sobers us up.
Are where you are right now, so you're not in any trouble, of course. But I did want to let you guys know that this spaceship is awesome. And hello, happiness, my new friend.
Hello, happiness, my new friend.
Oh, the vibes on the spaceship are impeccable.
Yo, speak it into the universe, man. I
this
like
one
it.
Or the next.
I like it.
Yo.
Oh, that was great. That was great. Thank you. All right, so apparently Athir is riding shotgun in the spaceship at this point. Chargers offense versus the Dolphins defense. We talked about this at the top, Jake. This Chargers offensive line has been absolute dog crap, as folks have said in the chat previously.
Yes.
And I said, I don't think there is a worse offensive line projected going into this game in the NFL or in recent history.
No.
And then you go look at the Dolphins offensive line ratings in PFF, and it's like, they're pretty close. We're about to see probably the two worst in the NFL. Like, for context here, the last 3 weeks, this Chargers offensive line pass blocking, the grades have been against the Broncos, a 45.6 burger. Against the Giants, 27.5 pass blocking grade. That's like bold red. And then 52.2 for the Commanders game. And if we're comparing that to what the Dolphins had these past 3 weeks, they are at a 41.4, 31.6, and 36.0. So, like, as much as Chargers fans are complaining and have seen this ship just go into the iceberg, like and this is maybe a reason why maybe the Dolphins offensive line is not good at all either. And they don't have Tyreek Hill. So we can talk about excuses, right? We've talked about all the reasons why this Chargers team could lose. But when you've got the coach, Jim Harbaugh, coaching, if you want to add in a Jesse Minter, Steve Klingscale, Ryan Ficken, when you've got the quarterback, the franchise, Justin Herbert, and you've got plethora of weapons on both sides still, you find a way. Like, you find a way, and you see it across the NFL. There are teams that are banged up, and they still win. So, Chargers offense, Miami defense. Again, I think the story of this game is so clearly, can they protect Justin Herbert? Or I wouldn't even say protect Justin Herbert, but can they scheme around their offensive line deficiencies?
That's the biggest.
Offensive line to be who they're not. Like, you can't expect these dudes to come out there and just all of a sudden ball out. Like, no. That's unfair to them. So how do you work with what you have? And that's what Jesse Minter gets praised for so long, which is why I'm so excited that he actually got somebody on defense in trade. Because he's like, all right, cool. Whoever you got, I'll coach them as best as I can, give what I got. And offensive line, like the opposite.
You know, with everything that we're talking about with the offensive line, fingers crossed that Will Dissly plays tomorrow.
I think he's supposed to, right?
It's everything that I've seen looks like it, but hey, you know, stranger things have happened. But my God, has he been missed the last 2 weeks? For sure. Because without him, you really don't have a good blocking option for tight end. And when you're down this many offensive linemen, you're going to need to utilize Will Dissly for what he does best, in terms of his blocking ability. So in terms of who's active for tight end tomorrow, that might make things a little bit interesting. We'll see. But Dan, you go back to the scheme of things because, again, you were talking about the opposing teams that the Chargers had faced over the last couple of weeks. Look, the Giants didn't need Malik Neighbors to beat the Chargers 2 weeks ago. They didn't have scary Terry McLaurin over there in Washington when they bum rushed the Chargers for 27 unanswered points last week. Yeah, you don't have Tyreek Hill, but Jalen Waddle, we saw, is still an impactful player. Obviously, Darren Waller is coming in off the streets and having just like a second resurgence to his football career all of a sudden in Miami.
Rap battle and yak yards.
Yep. And if you're watching what happened last week, especially in the run game against, Devon Achane can do some stuff, but I'll keep it with the Chargers offensive line here and the Miami defense here for a second. Damn, this comes down to scheme because right now, Bradley Chubb and the rest of that defensive line have to be licking their chops to saying, this is the matchup that we've been wanting all season long.
You're on get right game.
Let me remind you, the New York Giants, for as much as we were talking about how talented that defensive line was going into that Chargers game, that was their most productive game that they have had all season. The week after, Commanders, they don't even have as talented of a defensive line as the Giants did, and yet they went out and they had their best performance of the season. That was the 27th and 28th ranked pass defenses, respectfully, that you went up to against in consecutive weeks. You cannot have Justin Herbert back there with this offensive line, without Omari and Hampton, with essentially a cut and paste running game, however this is going to essentially work, and have him go back there and drop back 40 plus times to try to win and have him on 5 to 7 drops. That is quarterback malpractice. We saw that during the Giants game when Omari and Hampton only had 12 carries, even though he had a great game for himself. I felt like the game plan was a little bit better in terms of giving him the rock more. Unfortunately, he ended up sustaining the injury against Washington. But with who you have behind you for this game, I don't know how you're going to do it. There may not be anything better, Dan, than to have number 10 go Superman mode. And whatever that is, even if that is just... hang on a second. Hang on.
Get sucked into it.
You're not letting me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Even if it means that Justin Herbert takes the snap and it's literally 1-2 dart. 1-2 dart, 5 yards at a time. But there should be nothing that he's doing where it's going downfield. Do not put him in that compromising position.
Beginning. Yeah.
You cannot do that. I am totally fine for a dink and dunk type of offense, incorporating a lot of RPOs, a lot of more screens in this offense. Kamani Vidal is obviously can be useful in that aspect of the offense. But you have to protect Justin Herbert in different ways other than actually protecting Justin Herbert, because you've shown the last 3 weeks that you can't do it, and that was with an offensive line that's better than what you have that's coming out tomorrow. It all has to be on Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh's shoulders to scheme for tomorrow. That's what it is.
Chargers, who art thou? That's Dicker the Kicker. Yeah, Daywalker, which it seems like is a Dolphins fan, which is totally fine. Chargers are a get-right game. Let's keep it 100. We're not disagreeing with you. Unfortunately, these past couple weeks, find the things that the opponents of the Chargers do worst, and they will all of a sudden do the best. So, for example, bringing it back to this Chargers offense versus the Dolphins defense. Their passing defense is middle of the road. I think it's 17th in passing yards allowed per game. You go to rushing yards per game allowed, this Dolphins defense gives up 174 yards per game on the ground. That's the most in the NFL by far. 174. And it sucks. Of course, the week that you lose Omar and Hampton, you don't have Najee Harris, is when you go up against the Miami defense. Of course. Could Hassan Haskins break 100? Could Kamani Vidal break 100? Sure. Do I expect it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Honestly, I think there's more of a possibility that Naheem Hines would be the one that breaks 100 of all three of those, but I don't know if he's going to get the rock enough to do that. Like, this should be a balance. This should be like we need to balance this thing out and take the long-term approach here. Like, if you're going to drop back 30, 40 times, 7-step drops, just like put Trey Lance out there. Like, don't do that.
It's fair.
If you're going to play, I don't want to say conservative, but play smart and let the game come to you. All right. Like, Greg Roman, dude, you got to figure this out. Like, offensive line, you got to figure this out. Like, that coaching staff, I don't know how they're still not in the hot seat if they're not in the hot seat. Like, whew. No Quentin Johnson. You got no running backs that are starting. So, like, this could be the game where that game plan might be to your benefit, right? Like, could this be a KLS and Trey Harris breakout? Possibly. But in my opinion, if it was me as the offensive coordinator, I'm looking at 13 and I'm looking at Ladd and sprinkling some Gadsden, sure. If you want to take a top off once or twice for KLS, whatever. But for the most part, I want the surefire 7 to 10 yards, pick up the first down, move the chains, consistent drives. I don't need the deep shots. I don't need all that other crap. Like, move the chains. That's it.
The encouraging part, even with the news about Quentin Johnson, Dan, is remember we talked about how versatile this wide receiver group is, because you have a number of guys who can go in different spaces, in different places, play multiple positions, whether that's the X or the Z receiver, however you want to put it. For Trey Harris, this is a great opportunity for him.
100%.
And if you're going to play and scheme this game that we're talking about with Herbert, I think it's a perfect game for him. If we were watching during the preseason on where Trey Harris was mainly lining up, he was mainly playing in the Z spot, catching those type of cross routes, which we knew Quentin Johnson was mainly going to be doing. Now, obviously, Quentin has evolved his game a little bit more and has been able to be more productive on the outside. But for these type of crossing routes that you're going to try to mix in with Ladd and Keenan, I think this is a great opportunity for him. We know what he was in college, especially as a contested catcher. He's got great hands. He's very capable. But this is one of those type of opportunities where everybody's been especially asking over the last week when they've talked about the hypotheticals and,
Hypercriticals.
That's the better one. We spent this pick on Trey Harris in the second round. We haven't utilized him yet. What for? Well, that's obviously a variety of different reasons for that, because your top 3 wide receivers are being so productive for Justin Herbert right now. But now's the time to step up. Now's the time to show up. And this, I think, this is
last week.
I know that was last week. I'm talking about right now.
I know. You're right.
And I'm talking about Trey Harris specifically.
Okay.
So this is, I think, a great opportunity for him, and for this game plan, I think it fits exactly what the Chargers need from him right now.
Yeah, and I go back and I'll double tap on that. Like, honestly, like, this should be a possession game. Like, I know folks like the sexy explosives. I know.
You had that for a good portion of the game last week.
You did. You were close, man. You were right there to go up 17, and then you just didn't. By the way, Jake, I'm rambling, but let me know. Did Auburn lose? Did you see?
I didn't even see anybody in the chat.
Of the chat, let us know.
Front of their television sets.
That's a bad beat.
I've been looking at all of you for the last 40 minutes. I haven't seen anything.
Mark says this definitely has to be all up to our coaches and the game plan they put together with the guys we currently have. It's tough out. Look, I know folks want to talk about like Bradley Bozeman, and they want to talk about like, oh, maybe put in Audrey James, and like, I'm not at all like a Bradley Bozeman, I don't want to say like believer. That's not the right word, but I'm not saying that he's been great, but like, I don't think that is nearly the problem right now compared to what the tackle situation is. Like, let's say the Bozeman, Becton, when he's healthy, and Zion, let's call that average-ish, maybe a little below average. Maybe. Okay, I'll even give you that. The tackle situation is like as far down as it can go right now. So, like, yes, it would be nice if we can fix some things on the offensive line, but like, there's only so much you can do when your tackles are guys you've never heard of. Like, literally. Oh, Georgia won 20-10. Oh, no. Oh, I don't want to be in that press conference for that coach of Auburn. That sucks. Dang. Whew. Jake, before we get to the other side of the ball, anything else on this Chargers offense versus the Miami defense that you're looking at specifically?
I wish I could break down how the run game would be able to support Justin Herbert in this. If there's one thing that we have seen previously, and I'm talking sprinkled in, not like necessarily a big chunk to take from in terms of film and examples here, but we have seen that Naheem Hines-Miller has been good in pass protection.
Don't put him returning.
We've seen Hassan Haskins be able to be capable of doing the same, but in terms of them toting the rock, I have no idea. Like, literally, I wish I could speak on it and give anybody a positive view on it. I have no idea what this running game is going to be able to do for you. I would hope from the standpoint of the stats that Dan said about Miami's defense and what they gave up. I mean, shit, you saw Rico Dowdle go off for 200 plus last week for Carolina. Now, I don't think it's going to be that type of a game for the Chargers. I'd just be interested to see in terms of the overall usage, the rotation, in terms of how you're going to sprinkle them in, given the in-game situations, and obviously the scheme. If this is a heavy RPO type of a scheme, Dan, then believe it or not, I think that might lean more towards Kamani Vidal. But if you're just saying like, hey, we need someone who's a straight line runner who can just get 4 yards a clip, and it may not look sexy and it may not look pretty, Hassan Haskins, you're our man. But I wish I had more idea as far as what the run game is going to look like tomorrow. Unfortunately, I do not.
And look, don't be the fan that is surprised when you see this Dolphins defense like look good at times. Like, they've got dudes, man. Chop Robinson, Matthew Judon. They got Bradley Chubb, Benito Jones. They've got Minka Fitzpatrick, like the Jalen Phillips. Like, they've got dudes. Like, the defense really, I mean, I think you could probably ask Dolphins fans, but at times, at the worst times, like, defense has been an issue. But like, I don't think they've been terrible. Like, you can't take them lightly, man. Like, that defensive front will wreck you. And they have a matchup against an offensive line that is just not good right now. Like, I'm sorry. You can have a Ferrari at every position, but if that thing can't get out of the garage, what are you going to do?
And normally you would be thinking to yourself, like, okay, 2 straight losses for the Chargers. This is where they right the ship. But just, again, what evidence do you have to go off of when your offensive linemen keep getting injured at the rate that they're getting injured right now, and when Justin Herbert is taking this many hits? So you have to see something change. And we know, obviously, it's not going to all of a sudden hit a switch, especially with the personnel that's playing tomorrow. But coaches have been able to overcome situations like this in the past with their quarterbacks. With a coach like Jim Harbaugh, you should be able to do this after what you have seen from this team and the hits that your quarterback has taken over the last 3 weeks.
Bobby Hart, according to Hanan Derry, hasn't played a snap since 2022.
That is correct, Dan.
And couldn't hold a practice squad spot on several teams. And he is poised to be your Chargers tackle for this game. Ant Nee says he's currently hammered, but we gonna be all right.
All right.
We gonna be all right.
It's a Saturday night, man. You should be having fun.
Yes. Next voicemail, Jake, on the hotline before we get to the other side of the ball.
Dan, Jake, hey, I just want to thank you guys for doing the podcast. You guys are incredible.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
I mean, seriously, hands down the best. So this game versus the Commanders, we need to talk about it because
No.
we
far
don't
from it, but thank you.
feeling really, really weary. And I just think at the end of the day, the coaching cannot make up for these injury deficiencies. I mean, it's serious. 3 O-linemen out. They're shuffling the O-linemen all day, every day. Omarian's out. Herbert's getting under pressure. And it just seems like our play callers refuse to do anything different. I mean, they got to start thinking out of the box because we see teams like KC, Philly, Commanders, for instance.
But wait, this is the part that you can't have it both ways, Jake. And caller, appreciate you, and we'll continue on. You can't say they can't overcome these injuries as they continue to mount up, but also say this coaching staff isn't doing anything to adjust to the injuries, because then the coach staff isn't doing enough. You can't have both. You have, if you're telling me that it's the injury's fault, then the coaching doesn't matter. And the coaching is doing all that it can, and it's just the injuries that are the problem.
Injuries are commonplace in the NFL. They happen with every team.
I will say it's a lot for the Chargers right now, sure.
So I get it. Some are injured than most, but I'm not using that as an excuse when you've got number 10 behind center. This isn't like the Baltimore Ravens situation where you literally go from Lamar Jackson to Cooper Rush.
It's your entire offense.
It's not like the Cincinnati Bengals when you're going from Joe Burrow to whatever, now Joe Flacco, that they're going to be having as their starting quarterback. It's not that type of a situation. So when you have quarterbacks like that are capable of making the impossible possible, that's where coaching needs to come in and be able to fix that. At least tailor a game plan that looks better than what we have seen over the last 2.5 weeks.
Yes, and I will say, yes, two things can be true, but if we're gonna make the excuse this Chargers team is too injured, you can't make up for that, but then also say this coaching staff isn't adjusting, it isn't playing to the team's strengths, give what they have, then the injuries aren't really the major excuse. Both things can't. I don't know. I'm getting too deep in this. Next part of this voicemail.
Very dynamic with their play calling. And, they have the personnel to back it up, but we got to start trying something because Herbert's been hit almost more than Andrew Luck at this point, if not more. That was a stat that Popper put out. And we just can't have that happening. And Harbaugh knows that.
But again, what did he say at that end of your press conference after that playoff loss? And here we are.
The other thing about it, though, Dan, and again, I think it really has been the perfect storm for the Chargers over the last 2 weeks because, yes, you've had injuries to the offensive line. Yes, you've had definitely some drastic fallout from your offense because of it and because of the pressure that Justin has had. But again, we have seen those type of situations before with Justin Herbert. Go back to the Atlanta game of last year. Even without injuries, that offense didn't look the best, but what was the thing that kept you in that game? It was your defense. And more often than not, you've been able to lean on Jesse Minter to not only stop the opposing offense, but get Justin Herbert a couple more cracks at it, because when he does, he can make an opposing team pay. But the thing that's really impacted the Chargers, and this will obviously make a nice transition for where we're going here as far as offense-defense conversation, is that, first of all, the Chargers are not a team that turns the ball over that much defensively. Literally their best game in terms of turnover differential was the Raiders game in week 2.
Which is weird for Jesse Minter defense.
Yes, and they just got their first turnover last week from Tyler Tart, causing that fumble. That was it. You didn't get any turnovers against Kansas City week 1. You didn't have any against the Denver Broncos. You didn't have any against the New York Giants. You lost the turnover battle essentially the last 3 weeks. Thankfully, you didn't lose all 3 games, but you've lost the turnover battle the last 3 weeks. You need to start figuring out ways to not only stop opposing offenses, but getting those extra opportunities. And again, the mental mistakes, Dan, the 3rd and long situations, which are just inexcusable for a Jesse Minter defense to be in a 3rd and 12 situation or a 3rd and long situation. Case in point against Jackson Dart in that first drive that he went and put up on Jesse Minter's defense was the first quarter TD that defense had given up all season. And then, of course, you have the special teams plays on everything else. I mean, literally, it has just been a chaotic, perfect storm.
It's been a snowball for sure.
Yes. So it's if at times where all 3 phases are not working, if you at least get 2 out of the 3 to work, you have a chance to be in the game and, maybe get some luck and a ball to bounce your way here and there. But all 3 phases of the Chargers the last 2 weeks have just not played good football. And it's not what we're accustomed to seeing from Jim Harbaugh and the rest of this coaching staff.
No. Overcoming injuries is what separates good coaches from mediocre ones. Yep.
Ortiz knows this. I mean, you can't plan for 3 of your O-line going out. And so, at the end of the day, it sucks. But I just think as us Chargers fans, we just got to be like, all right, next week, because teams in the NFL are pulling upsets all the time.
Yep.
We got some real players on this team.
Yep.
And so, hey, hopefully they go on a run. Hopefully we can be competitive in the AFC West this year. But, we'll see. When Alt gets back, that'll be a good reboost to our offensive line.
Man, that cannot come soon enough. Thank you for calling, by the way. That cannot come soon enough, man. And my gut tells me we might see him next week. My gut says maybe next week.
The little signs here and there make you believe that, because when it was first announced last week, when it came to the deadline of putting Joe Alt on short-term IR, they didn't do that. The walking boot was off earlier this week when you heard Jim Harbaugh at the press conference saying, obviously he's not practicing, but he's feeling great. High ankle sprains are no joke, especially for offensive linemen. It sucks. And we talked about this on the show earlier this week in terms of the biggest fear is that you just don't want to rush Joe Alt back to possibly suffer anything worse. But it's encouraging signs, and hopefully you can possibly get him back for that Colts game.
All right, Jake. Dolphins offense, Chargers defense. Where are you looking?
Dan, you got to look at the trenches for this. My God, you have to look at the trenches for this. This is no joke. But we can talk about Joe Ortiz doing things, not doing things, but one thing that he definitely saw that he had to do was improve that pass rush, even when you possibly have Khalil Mack on the come up and possibly returning next week. You still needed something to improve that because you weren't getting anything from your 3rd or your 4th or your 5th, in this case, edge rushers. So in order to add depth, get another element in it, you go out and you trade for Oweh, who I think is going to be definitely an X factor as it relates to this defense. You're going to need someone who's going to be able to try to create pressure on Tua, opposite of Thule in this circumstance. Dan, the other thing about this is that obviously with Denzel Perryman coming back you've seen opposing offenses and defenses essentially start taking what other teams have done here over the last couple of weeks. You look at the Denver game and the blueprint that defensive line put on the Chargers offense. The Giants took that and ran with it.
You got to have the personnel.
Man, did they win.
Yep.
The Commanders, though, did the exact same thing. But here's the other part of it. When you see what the Washington Commanders offense did last week with no Terry McLaurin, you look at especially the run game, Dan, the no containment on the outside, that has to be better from a defensive standpoint for this defense to do. It would not shock me, honestly, if this is a game where it's short for Tua, where it's Darren Waller and it's Devon Achane and it's a short yard situation, but Achane has that type of speed element to where if you put him out on screen passes, especially after seeing film last week in terms of no containment, if you don't do that, And I hate the fact that I have to say that sentence again, considering what we've seen here over the
I'll
last
add
few
tosses
weeks.
to that.
Yes. That's where Miami can find some of these big chunk plays that we've seen the Chargers give up. I'm talking a la Cortland Sutton at the end of the first half against Denver. I'm talking J.K. Dobbins in that first drive in Denver after the first half. I'm talking the long pass that Jackson Dart got on a 3rd and 12. I'm talking the very first play after the running into the kicker penalty that essentially reignited Washington's offensive drive.
Hollywood Brown.
It is not customary for this Chargers team to do. And this will go into another element of this because obviously we know that Alohi Gilman was involved in that trade, so he is no longer on the team. And we've heard a lot of talk about RJ Mickens getting his opportunity in the rotation with this safety group. So I think Tony Jefferson is going to have to play a big part in all of this. And RJ Mickens, who we have talked about a lot during the preseason in terms of his versatility and where you can put him, if having that type of capability and discipline, which I think is the best word to use, and obviously putting number 3 here on the screen in the best possible situation where you love where he can play, you can exploit this Dolphins offense. But if you allow those certain things to happen, and if you're going to be going back to the same mistakes that you have been making defensively over the last couple of weeks, you could find yourself in hot water really fast.
To me, honestly, and we'll get to this as we get to the final score and everything, but the only things I'm going to be looking at right now in this game that will, to me, dictate who wins and loses this game, penalties and turnovers. If I had to look at 2 stats, like macro view, those are the 2 I'm looking at. Look, this offense for the Dolphins, I mean, they're 21st in passing yards per game. I think their rushing game is awful. They're like 30th. 30th, 82.2 yards per game. Which is another reason why these last 2 weeks have been so mind-boggling. And Jesse Mitchell's defense hasn't been terrible, but there's just been glimpses where what defense is that?
Mm-hmm.
This is the style of offense that I think Jesse Minter's style of defense thrives against. When you put quarterbacks in conflict, if they're used to the timing routes and all that kind of stuff, and you can make them think one thing and go the different direction. This is kind of a get right moment for Jesse Minter, in my opinion. I'm bullish on the defense this week. They just cannot allow them to let Achane get off the hook. Jalen Wright, pick a running back, I don't care. Those explosive running plays are going to be backbreakers in a game like this. And so for me, it's about the defensive front. You said it's trenches. This is a big Tier Tart game. This is big a Boygby game. This is big Tito game. This is big for, hell, I'll put Durban on the line of scrimmage. I think he's there. Denzel Perriman, I think this is a good time. Hopefully he comes back for this. The Thule, Dafe Owe, this is that style of game where if you can make Tua beat you, I think you're going to be okay.
And of note, I like the fact that you brought that up, Dan, because Delshawn Hand is obviously not going to be available for the next 4 weeks. He's one of your better interior pass rushers that you have. So Naquan Jones is obviously going to step into that rotation as well. But again, I think that this is a Dolphins offensive line, more specifically from the right guard to the right tackle, that can definitely be exploited. I think that Jesse Minter can come up with some creativity in terms of whether it's getting Thule out on stunts or Owe out on stunts to create some of that interior pressure to help with that. You have the capability to do this. You just need to get out of your own way.
Yeah. This Chargers team, they've got a lot of weapons on the outside for Justin, right? I know they might not have Quentin. We don't know yet, but they've still got Keenan. They still got Ladd. They still got a bunch of dudes on that offense that can work. This defense, I know Khalil Mack's not there. I get it. But they still got a bunch of dudes. Elijah Molden's back. Derwin James is there. Tarheeb Still's there. Cam Hart's there. Thule's there. Deion Henley's there. Like the list goes on and on. Like this defense is there. So, in my opinion, like this should be the crutch for this Chargers team this week. Like they should be able to lean on this Chargers defense to help orchestrate, whether it's time of possession, whether it's field position, whether it's turnovers. Like that's what I think this pass rush needs to kind of start getting home for, because it's been so poorly missing. And again, like no Tyreek Hill. I feel like he's always been like a Chargers kryptonite for the most part. There have been times where Chargers have shut him down, but
hey, in the game that he went down on, he was probably having his best game of the season before that injury took place.
Yeah. Benji says, I better see James at some point soon, the way Bozeman is playing. Like, again, I don't know, man. Like,
Derwin James at center?
Derwin James. Yes. Yeah. Roland says, minimize penalties, use our running back and tight end to shore up the line, then use Patriots stinking Doug style offense. I'm good for it. I'd take a vanilla, boring ass football game that wins like 11-6.
Yes. Just Justin Herbert goes 10 of 15 for 111 yards, but it means that the Chargers win the football game. I'm all for it.
Yeah, 16 for 21, $190, and 2 touchdowns would be, well, 1 touchdown. Great. I'll take it. Next voicemail, Jake. Let's see what we got to say.
Hey, guys. How's it going? This is Young West. I know you guys already went through the emails against the Commanders, but I barely got a hold of this number, and I just had to vent.
Oh, no.
All right.
Oh,
no. This is what we do here on Chargers Unleashed.
Man, what we've been seeing the last 2 weeks is just a polar opposite of what the fuck we've seen the first 3 weeks.
Dolphins fans, listen up.
And I just don't understand how that team that was 3-0 is the same team that is now 0-2 in the last 2 weeks. I mean, what are we doing? Tyler Conklin, I get it that you used to catch passes for Aaron Rodgers, but you know what you catch next? The next bus out of Los Angeles. Bradley Bozeman. That C off your chest? Why don't you go fucking rip it? We need.
Oh boy, here we go.
We need to start cutting these players, man. They shouldn't be on the team. How are they on this team? Hey, QJ, you should go watch the replacement. The receiver that used to fucking put glue on his hands to hold on to the
Clifford Franklin. Clifford Franklin. Coach, I look like I just jacked off an elephant. Now you know this don't look natural. You know it don't.
Maybe you should do that.
I don't know why are we bagging on Quee right now for that? This isn't the time for that. And also, I don't put that fumble on Q. Like, that was a helmet to helmet that was not called. And that's a brutal hit. Like,
no, nobody. I'm not blaming Quentin for that. But that was definitely the spark that ignited.
Yeah, of course.
Washington to go.
Jesus.
Did he forget he was leaving a message?
I think he needed a break.
Okay. It's like, okay. That was enough.
Hey, guys, how's it going?
Okay, that was it.
Okay, so that was it. Okay. It's like, didn't even want to say farewell. Just wanted to end it.
No.
Like that.
Pepe Le Pew Pew. Is it possible to do that to an elephant?
According to Clifford Franklin, it might be. Who knows?
Michael says, D to the rescue. Daywalker went to New York with no passion, then followed up with a sloppy game against the Commanders. That's how injuries happen. Playing half-ass. I mean, yeah. QJ with 2 uncalled headshots. Next voicemail.
What's going on, boys? It's Ray from San Diego. I'm alive.
First of all, thank you for telling us that.
Drive safely.
Dan and I really appreciate that. It's always nice to know, especially after what this fan base has endured over the last 2 weeks, that you're safe.
I survived the trip. I don't know if I was clear. I might have been out of it, but I was at the game. That's just so. if not Friday. Yeah, man. Fucking, we got 6 games before the bye week. If we can get fucking 3 out of that, it'd be great. So we can stay healthy for then.
All right, background noise is killing me on this one. But enough there, Jake. The thing that I did hear, other than he's alive, which I'm grateful for. Real quick, people were asking at the top of this. There's a lot of rumors and stuff about some of the trade rumors going around, and people that might be on the chopping block or trade candidates, if you will. There's some names here that have come up as possible fits or possible movement. You've heard I think it's Jalen Wright's been on there. The Alvin Kamara, apparently, according to some sources, were called of interest for the Chargers, but they basically said no, he doesn't want to leave. Breece Hall from the Jets is another one. You go look at the Cleveland Browns offensive line. Evan Neal is another one out there. Like, are there names that you could see actually happening of those?
I'm not sure, especially when you look at the position that those teams are in, namely the Saints and the Jets. You know, especially for Breece, they're going to try to get back as much as they can for him, considering that he's still on the right side of the age for running backs. Now, Kamara obviously can still be productive, even though he's getting up there in age. But I mean, my God, the Saints are in a bad position and need draft picks more than most teams need players. with the amount of draft capital that they have sacrificed over the last couple of years. So they're probably going to do what they can in terms of either holding on to said players or getting the best possible deal for them. And for the Chargers, especially after the Alohi Gilman trade. Now, remember, you only have 5 picks heading into next year. So, you know, I may press Dan when it comes to the bye week, which is in week 12, to maybe start doing a little bit of draft talk since it's an off week for the Chargers. Maybe we can have some fun doing that. Never gets old. But there's going to be a lot that we know of that the Chargers are going to need from the standpoint of next offseason. So I'm not so sure in terms of what you'd have to give up if you're trying to bring in a productive running back, like namely those two. So they may end up going a different route. Yes, you're probably going to do it, considering the fact that you don't have Amari and Hampton for the next 4 games. But you need to do something better than having it just be Hassan Haskins, Kamani Vidal, and Naheem Miller-Hines. And Dan, this was a gag slide. You can go ahead and just click down again because that's the real X factor. Essentially, you know, you could say that in terms of the offense for the Chargers, it's not as good as Campbell's tomato soup, considering who the offensive line is that's comprising it, and the fact that you don't have a running game right now. And now, of course, we get the fact that Quentin Johnson might not be playing tomorrow.
It's not chunky soup; it's tomato soup.
Yeah, it's just tomato soup. It's tomato soup. But no, the X factor obviously is 10, Dan. And again, I'm not saying this from the standpoint of scheming it to where Justin Herbert is throwing it every down, because that's not smart football. But this is all going to be on his shoulders tomorrow. And when I made this slide, this was prior to the Trey Harris news, that if in fact Quentin Johnson does not play tomorrow, there may have to be some meaningful snaps that Trey Harris comes in, steps up, and is productive, even if we're talking about in the same voice of what Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey bring to the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's never been more of a moment for a number of different players to take that next man up mentality and the opportunity that you have to try to help this team win a football game.
X factors for me on offense, like this might be a Ladd game. It was between Ladd and Aronde Gadsden, but I'll go Ladd. I think this is his game to kind of come back and just be that other side of the pillow, if you will, for Justin Herbert, right? Like that comfort spot with Keenan. He needs it. That's the style of offense that this guy needs. He needs possession players, guys you can trust. Nothing crazy flashy. I don't know. I think that's where I'm going. X factors for defense, Jake. I would say for me, I know you've got Tony Jefferson, you've got Owe there. For me, like I'm looking at like a Denzel Perryman. I'm looking at like a Jamar Caldwell, Poona Ford type.
I mean, Poona Ford,
Sorry.
who's no longer, Poona Ford, who's no longer on the Chargers. I know what you meant.
Good Lord, man, total brain fart.
Basically, interior defensive line by committee.
Tyre Tart. Sorry, that's like right up the gut. Like that's got to be it. Like, can Thule help contain? Can Owe help contain? Can they keep things in front of them? I'm not necessarily worried about Tua scrambling from a containment perspective. I'm more worried about like keeping the running game contained.
Are you sure you're not worried about that, Dan? Because that's gotten you killed as far as QB containment all season long. That's not just the last 2 weeks.
Generally, yes, but like that quarterback, that's not necessarily his strong suit. Like, could it happen? Sure. And would one suck? Yeah, but like I don't think you're going to see 6 for 59 and 4 first downs from Tua this game. Like that's just not the kind of player. You got Owe and Jefferson.
I do. I think with obviously a Loki Gilman getting traded to the Ravens, this is going to open up more opportunities not only for Tony Jefferson in this game, but as we were talking about earlier, as for RJ Mickens coming into this. Again, he is versatile in terms of what he can do defensively. Now, I'm not expecting like a huge game from RJ Mickens, but in terms of giving that safety group a little bit more flexibility in terms of what they can do defensively, namely in where you can position Derwin James is going to help. But I definitely think that this type of move, and this was, again, safety was one of your deeper positions that you had on the roster. And I love the idea, obviously, of giving Tony Jefferson a little bit more game action because he's earned it. He's been playing with his hair on fire ever since preseason. I think he just brings a collective added juice to the team. So putting him in now essentially as a full-time member of this rotation is a great thing. And for Owe, I mean, damn, it's hard not to say it again in terms of what the pass rush win rate stats are opposite of Thule for Owe. And it's just, it really is just embarrassing when it's not Khalil Mack in this lineup right now. So you want to talk about someone who's even said it in some of his first interviews that he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, that he's got a little bit of, some resentment in towards of the situation of what took place. What better way to release some of that and prove that you can have a bounce back year? Now, hey, for anybody following Owe's stats, he hasn't had the type of year that he has had the previous 4. Up till this season, he's had a great year since being a first-round pick, most notably in 2024 when he had 10 sacks. Let's see what Jesse Minter can do with it, because there's no way, I just do not foresee any way that this Chargers pass rush is any worse than what it has been over the last couple of weeks without Khalil Mack. Now you add Owe into this in terms of his athleticism, his speed, what he can do, what we've seen him do. That's definitely going to be a big push for this. And in terms of overall containment, Dan, is what you were talking about in terms of getting after the quarterback, you need someone to crash those edges. You need someone to break those type of the edges wide open as it relates to quarterback pressure, disruptive plays. It can't just be Thule right now, not without Khalil Mack. So, yeah, I'm calling the shot to say that Owe is going to have an impact on this game.
I would love to see like a breakout game from Owe right off the bat. Hugo Boss 760. I want to hear the fans of the game chant Owe, 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 Owe. I would love that.
I like that.
I do too.
I actually like that.
I do too. Elijah Molden also prime for more opportunity as well in this game. Let's get some of these comments before we get to the bold predictions, the game predictions. Let's see. I personally always liked Mike Williams more than Keenan, but Keenan was more productive. I just like Mike's catch ability better. Okay. Hello, Darth Dan and Jake. Hello, Darth Dan.
I like how, first of all, I love how you have like the nickname, and definitely people have talked about you going from Darth Dan to Positive Dan, then going back to it. So you've developed obviously a split personality among this fan base, Dan. And it's like, hello, Darth Dan and Jake. It's like,
Jake hasn't changed.
no, I haven't changed at all, and it's okay. I don't need a nickname. Not asking for one.
Gisevius Broseph. Love that. My last ounce of faith is speaking. Chargers 24, Dolphins 14. I'm just asking, says Day Walker Blade. I'm just asking for guys to play with some fire. This going through the motion stuff is lame. I'm with you. Eddie, Dan, Jake, big question. Is this game in Miami a must win due to having the Colts and Vikings on deck? I mean, I'm not going to call it a must win, but like, if we're talking like vibes check,
yeah.
If you thought the Commanders' loss was bad, we haven't even talked about like the Tua versus Herbert and Miami fans versus the Chargers. Like, you lose to Miami, it's a new low.
Let's call it what it is. If the Chargers were to go 0-3 in this stretch against the Giants, the Commanders, and the Dolphins,
in the soft spot of their schedule,
right? And much like Dan was saying, I don't consider it from the record-wise or from playoff hopes a must-win in that situation. But you've now gone against one of the easier parts of your schedule, and you're potentially looking at going over in those games. It's not a good look, especially as Common said, when you've got the Colts that are playing very well, when you've got the Vikings, who, regardless of who their quarterback is, that defense is still pretty damn good. There's no guarantee if you were to drop this game against Miami that you would be looking at the Colts game with Jonathan Taylor, the way that he's playing right now, that you could say, oh yeah, we're for sure going to win that. With the way that this team is playing right now, with the injuries that it has. And I would say the exact same thing against Minnesota. So it's, even with the situations that you're having, injury-wise, game planning, scheming, uncharacteristic mistakes, you should be winning the games that you're supposed to win. And it would just be a damn shame for this team who started off so good at 3-0 to then drop 3 straight in potentially the easiest part of their schedule. That just would be rough to then move on to those next few weeks. And again, as Dan said, the vibe check, I don't even want to think about potentially what it could look like.
And honestly, and again, I don't think it's a must win. Like, going into the season, when you looked at the schedule, right? Like, there's no way you thought, except maybe it's here, that they were going to go 3-0, like, with confidence, right? And so, like, golden opportunity, right? Stranglehold, 3-0, 3 easily winnable games upcoming. You got a chance to stranglehold on that division. And so far, you've squandered it. You go 3-2 to 3-3, like, again, 3-3 is not bad. Like, you're still clearly in the playoff hunt. You would be at most in second place in the division, right? Like, you're not out of it, but it's just an opportunity squandered. And there's, I don't know. Hanan Derry, actually, I agree with this. I'm okay with 3-3 only if it means we get Alt and Mac for the rest of the season and no more injuries. So, like, that's the thing.
I'm okay with that.
If you go 3-3 and you start getting your guys back, like, okay. But you don't want to go 4-2 and lose more dudes. Or go 3-3 and lose more dudes. That's probably the more likely of the two. Jorge, the old Bolt. We are all way too negative right now, so it's time for the Bolts to go get our hopes high again. Maybe just let us down later in the season.
I mean, there really has been like so little positive to take away from those last 2 games.
It's hard, man.
Outside of Omari and Hampton's play, I mean, really, and again, it's so unfortunate that he went down. That was really the thing that you could lean on during this period of time, even with the offensive line injuries. You felt enough confidence, even with him getting only 12 carries in that Giants game, that you could say, okay, we're now about to ramp this up in terms of his carries. The game plan is going to revolve a lot about getting him involved, whether it's in the run game or the pass game. And now you don't have it. So it's just like there's been so much wind that's been taken out of this, the fan base.
Between the losses and the injuries. Like, it's been like a 1-2 punch. Plus the mistakes and the penalties, and just it's been tough. Final prediction. Brendan says, no excuse. We got to get to 4-2. Mark says 17-16 Chargers.
That's actually not a bad prediction, Dan. And honestly, I was leaning towards going to more of a low-scoring game for this one, just given the situations with both teams.
Yep.
Now, again, if the Chargers are going to have another one of these mental breakdowns in all three phases of the game, it could be something completely different. But this may be me speaking a little bit more into, as Dan likes to call it, hopium than anything else. I said it after the Giants game that I felt confident in Jim Harbaugh, that they were after watching what happened in that game, that they were going to right the ship. I was wrong. They looked a hell of a lot worse than they looked in that Giants game, which is crazy to think given the circumstances of that. I don't think that there's any way that you can possibly look at this, and I'm talking even with the offensive line that you're going into this game with Miami. There's no way in hell that you can look at the numbers for Justin Herbert and how many times that he has been hit in the last 3 weeks and say, we have to take charge of this in terms of our game plan, in terms of our execution, coaching better, playing better in all facets of the game in order to get out of Miami with a W. This may be the last time I say this, Dan. So if I end up eating my words on it, first of all, I'll eat them. But it is going to shake my confidence a little bit if we start seeing the exact same thing that we have seen, not just in the offense, but defense and special teams as well over the last 3 weeks. I will admit my confidence will be a little bit shaken.
I mean, I can guarantee you I'm going to get a text from Jake at like it's 10 a.m. game, probably like 10:47, that says something along the lines of, well, here we go. Our game's over. We lost. Win or lose, it's going to happen.
Hey, I jumped onto the spaces with 4 minutes left in that Commanders game because I said to myself, I did not want to watch this. And that was so great because someone live literally was telling me, it's like, and Debo just scored on the 4th down play, another touchdown. So now the Commanders are up 27-0. I'm like, great. That's awesome. Needed to hear that. But to wrap up this long-winded prediction here, apologies. Dan, I'm going to say it's 17-14. And much in the same way as the Denver game, Mr. Reliable, big dicker energy is going to come to the rescue in Miami.
Are you going to feel good about it?
I don't, Dan, I really don't give a shit, honestly. If it means that the Chargers are winning the game, I will feel great.
That's valid.
Yeah, I will still be critical of them the following week, even in a win. I'll still be straight down the line and not have my head up in the clouds. But, dude, find a way at this point. Find a way.
Yep. Let's see. Mekhi Becton has been out of shape and not engaged most of his career. He is pretty much labeled like a bust before going to best offensive line. Not sold on which version we get. We'll see. Dan, Jake, how many sacks will Odafe Owe get in his Bolts debut? You have him as an X Factor. What do you think?
What's a fair line, Dan? Over, under 0.5?
Yeah, I'd say 0.5. If you were a betting man, you betting over?
Yeah, I'm betting over. I was contemplating on whether or not I would up that line a little bit, but no, I'll keep it at 0.5. I think that's fair.
Last voicemail, Jake, before we get to the wrap up.
Dad?
Uh-oh. Wait. Hold on. Hold on a second.
Remember I told you, after the Commanders review, he messaged me and he said, I am not leaving the show. I called back. And I left another message. This is said message, so this would have came through on Monday, like late Monday after we already did the show.
Here we go. This is an ending.
Jake, this is a tip. I've changed my mind.
He didn't even. Okay, he couldn't even go 24 hours.
I'm not doing it for you, Dan. Don't.
I told you. Told you.
Excited. I'm doing it for my boy Jake because I love so much. I have three important things to say.
Three. Okay, let's count them.
Before I get to my bold prediction for fuck.
So, whoa.
For
So really has 4 important things to say. Okay.
Fucking Sunday game. First, I am sorry about Joe Ortiz losing his job. It's not going to happen. I'm happy what he is doing, but I am also not happy that he has not done enough in the
mind
offseason.
you, this was before
No way.
Joe Ortiz pulled the trade for Elway.
About the offensive line. And now it'll bite him in the ass. Number 2, I'm not giving up on the season.
Did he say we're vitamin ass? Is that what he said? Is that what? Did I hear that right? Did he say we're vitamin ass?
I don't know. I can't go back without putting the whole thing through.
That was hilarious.
Folks in the chat.
Okay.
Let us know.
Keep playing.
And number 3, I am calling my coach out. Coach Harbaugh.
That's big.
Ooh.
That's big for a theory.
Ooh.
I'm calling you out.
This is a first. Jake. Well, hold on. I gotta check back on the receipts here. Let me scroll for a sec. The reason why this Chargers team should we predicted to win, if I go back to the beginning when I asked the question, why should we be confident in this Chargers team winning? Wasn't it a fear that said the reason that he was? It was.
Okay.
So Coach Harbaugh is the reason why he is confident in this Chargers team winning. Let's continue this voicemail.
Go ahead.
A bite in the ass.
But
Okay.
I swear to God, I thought it said vitamin ass. I was like, whoa, that's a new one. I don't think you're seeing that on the shelves of CVS.
This is pathetic the last couple of weeks.
Good on you, Thier.
Your team did not show up. Okay, you are not protecting your franchise quarterback. You need to step up your game on Sunday against Miami. Now, to my bold prediction.
I mean, that is about as pessimistic as you'll hear a Thier talk about Jim Harbaugh. And I give you credit, Thier. I give you credit. You're not just spewing hopium right now, like you're seeing what's happening. You're reading the tea leaves here a bit. The water's getting warm. Bold prediction.
Herbert will ride the Dolphins into a victory.
He can only go so far.
Now that I got that crap out of my head, let me get to what I really wanted to talk about.
We backed up, fam.
327 yards.
Oh, come
That's
on.
specific.
Come on.
3 touchdowns. Chargers win 31-17.
41-17. Did I hear that right?
I think he said 31-17.
Like, he haven't scored 41 points in 3 games.
If Justin Herbert is able to throw for 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns with that offensive line that he's got blocking for him tomorrow, I would then wonder to myself, what, did Bobby Hart just become all of a sudden a all-world right tackle and not playing a game in close to 3 years? Where were these coaching adjustments for the last 2 weeks? I may actually have more questions than answers if that stat actually ended up coming true.
Vitamin A, B, C, and ass. Hugo Boss says, I'll have what he's having. Oh, man. Let's see. Why don't you talk like that on Locked On Chargers to Daniel Wade and David Drogemeyer? I'm not sure. He said on Locked On Chargers 31-14. So he was more optimistic when he got to our show after being critical.
Remember, this voicemail was also literally Monday.
So he was in space a little bit.
As we all have gone through this entirety of the week, a lot of emotions, a lot of venting, a lot of criticism that we have had.
D. Walker, defense will need 6 turnovers to win 31-17.
The defense will probably have to be responsible for scoring 2 of those touchdowns to make it 31-17, right?
They can't even score 31 with everyone healthy. We've made it to this part of the season, Jake, where we are like our own punchline. I'm at the point now, like honestly, and like I don't know if I'm like turning into the pessimist right now, but like I am absolutely bracing for a loss. Like there's literally nothing that they've shown me these past 2 weeks that leads me to believe that they will win this game. Like, could they win 100%? Like, there's a lot of ways they can win. And the path to victory, there's a bunch of them. But, like, there is a very, very glaring path to loss. And I don't see how that's gotten any better week over week over week. You still got the same offensive line issues with less running backs and less wide receivers going up against a great front. Now, the other offense is trash. Offensive line is trash, just like yours is. So maybe that can counter it. And so maybe they're worse than we are worse. But like,
yeah, I would not be surprised to see a loss on this either.
I'm putting my money on
like
right now. That. Given where the Chargers team is at, before the 2 losses, I'd have been like, there's no way in hell Jesse Mitchell loses this. There's no way in hell Jim Harbaugh loses this. Whatever.
Right.
To me, this is going to have to be a defensive performance to save this game.
Yeah.
Do I think the Chargers offensive line is going to be good? No, I don't.
No.
Do I think Jess Herbert's going to be beat up? Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think the Chargers offense is going to be able to run the ball a lot? No, I don't.
No.
Even against this defense that is terrible with a run.
No.
But I have faith in this Chargers defense to wreak havoc as well. Jeez. I'm going to go like 19-16.
I thought you were going to go with like a 12-10 type of score. Chargers defense comes up big, holds them to 10 points, and gets a safety in the game to win it.
Dude, I'm going to call for the Chargers to win this one, 19-16. But if they lose this one, like it's about to get really bad. It's about to get really, really bad. Like you're not going to see another prediction of a win for me. If they lose this one, you will not see another prediction of a W until they reel off at least 2 in a row. So
maybe the only consistent thing that's on this team right now, Dan, is Big Dicker energy. And for context, he kicked a very casual 55-yard field goal in that game against the Commanders. Just made it look like nothing. He's got the leg. He can do it.
He's got that Big Dicker energy for sure. Legacy game for Harbaugh, Minter, and Roman. 16-10 to Chargers win, says Hugo.
Yeah, it's fair, Dan. Honestly, it's fair given the ineptitude that you saw offensively from this team last week.
Yep. All right. If no one will do it, I'll do it. Dolphins win. There it is. Good job, Jeff. Robert D. Prepare for the bad and hope for the good. Yeah, that sounds like a Chargers fan. If our Bolts are going to struggle, then the defense needs to step up and shut down the Dolphins and create takeaways. This, to me, will be the rest. If they win, it will be because of this.
That key number that he puts in this comment, too, they've created just 4. That's correct because 3 of them were in one game, and that was against the Raiders in week 2. Outside of that, you saw the most recent one from Tyler Tart causing that fumble last week against Washington. The Chargers have to be a better team at taking the ball away.
Mm-hmm.
And they should have been better the last 2 weeks.
Eddie, I say our Bolts win 20-10. 17-10 says Roland. 16-10 is the way to victory. So everyone's still having the Chargers winning. Robert says, we lose this game. We fans need to get on the Chargers channel and demand.
Bozeman be benched essentially for Andre James.
Okay. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of questions. But let's hope, again, hopium vibes are up. We're hoping the Chargers win. God, I'm so not looking forward to this.
Ready to be awake, Dan, in just over 12 hours?
Like,
ready to wake up for this one?
Like, this isn't me being a dick or anything, but like, are you excited for this game?
No.
Okay, I'm just like bracing for it.
I'm more cautious than anything else. Obviously, I'm going to watch and I'm going to root for a Chargers win. Of course, we all are.
Yep.
But at the same time, as Dan started off this show by saying, it's hard to take away anything positive over the last 2 weeks of Chargers football. And whether we're talking about actual in-game play or players that you don't have, it's tough. It's really tough. And when we've seen this offensive line get absolutely obliterated and get its quarterback obliterated in the process, I mean, you don't think that opposing defensive coordinators are looking at this and figuring out ways to stop Justin Herbert? How many times have we talked about Justin Herbert, how lethal he is when he is blitzed? Historically, he's great. But these last 3 weeks, defenses are not afraid to pressure him and blitz him with everything that they've got because they know that you're going to be able to get some guys completely free and untouched coming through that line. They are not afraid to blitz Justin Herbert right now, and that's unfortunate because he has no time to do anything. Notice how you haven't really watched him do any of his play-action bootleg much over the past 2 weeks because he doesn't have time to even move out of the pocket. There's a guy right there as soon as the ball's snapped. So I say this again. Tomorrow's game, if it is going to be secured by a win, is going to have to be done through coaching and scheming. And that's on all three phases for the Chargers, not just offensively. Has to be done.
More nervous than anything. Jimmy says, I just want to see less penalties. Can Minter at least show blitz? Sure. Jimmy is scared for the game. Brendan says, we will win tomorrow and the Donkeys will lose to the Jets. Chiefs will lose to the Lions. Fingers crossed. Hope you're right. See, Knox, I'll be off Twitter for 2 weeks if we lose the Fins. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Check anything else. We went a little long today, but I think that's about it. Anything else that you wanted to cover today?
No, it was, much needed. We didn't get a chance to, obviously, I know we're doing this at essentially the 11th hour as it relates to the game upcoming, but Dan and I always love doing these live shows, so we appreciate everyone who's been spending their Saturday night with us over the past hour and a half. We hope that it was an entertaining show for you, and it's always good when we get a chance to interact with you guys, whether it's in the chat or through the Chargers Unleashed hotline. So once again, appreciate every one of you, and hopefully in just over 15 hours, we'll actually be talking about a Chargers win. How much conviction did I say that with? It's like I was searching for the words.
That hurt. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys getting all the love now. Dan, the man, and Beefcake Jake. Woo!
Okay, like I said, didn't need a nickname.
They're going to make Jake blush.
Didn't need a nickname. But at least from Dan's steak, hey, I got sleeves on my fucking sweatshirt, so
let's go.
Piss off.
Hoping for a positive post-game short video tomorrow, Dan. Look, you and me both, my friend. If we win, you're getting a short from Jake tomorrow in a short sleeve hoodie. How about that? Jimmy says, like, subscribe, please. Do us a favor. Tell a friend. Like, subscribe. Leave a comment. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Do your thing. You can always find us at LAC_Unleashed on Twitter or X, whatever you call it. 323-902-7586 is the number to the hotline. Give us a call. This thing will be lit up. Win or loss, we're here for you. Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow after our Bolts eat tuna. I hope you are correct. Here's to a win tomorrow. We'll leave it at that. For Jake, I'm Dan. This is Charger Unleashed, and we'll talk to you next time on Chargers Unleashed. Should we just leave it here without putting like the outro music for like 15 minutes and just stare at the camera? It'd be fun.
What a way to end the show.
That could be fun. That could be fun. Okay. Bye, everybody.